I found him there, standing in the middle of the gravel path that led to the front door. The twilight painted his face with an expression of childish panic that, on any other day, would have given me immense pleasure. But not today. Today, my gaze was fixed on the wicker basket he held with trembling hands. Inside, wrapped in a cheap blanket, slept a problem. That idiotic kid. Always with that nonsense about wanting a sibling. I thought it was just neediness, but he'd taken the fantasy too far. Who knows what gutter he pulled that thing from. My husband, the billionaire daddy of the year, was on a business trip. It was the perfect opportunity. That creature would not spend the night under my roof. I wasn't going to let some bastard threaten my position, my future. I walked slowly toward him, my best predatory smile on my face. He flinched. "Theo, darling," I said, the sweetest, most venomous voice I could muster. "Where are we going to hide the little body?" Theo swallowed, his eyes wide with fear, but he clung even tighter to the basket. His gesture of protecting the intruder sent a nerve through my temple. "Stepmother, he's a baby. I found him in the woods near the stream. Someone abandoned him." His voice was a childish whine, and I almost laughed. Abandoned? Perfect. Less work for me. I reached out a hand, cold and firm, to take the basket, but he recoiled, tripping over his own feet. "No, he's my brother. I'll take care of him." The brat's audacity was unbelievable. My husband's son, an heir to billions, thinking about taking care of a street child. What a joke. I crossed my arms, anger boiling under my skin. "Theo, listen to me. This house is not an orphanage. Your father wouldn't accept this abomination here. Either you get rid of him now, or I will do it myself, and I promise I won't be so gentle." The threat was clear, terrifying enough to make him flinch. But then, to my dismay, the baby let out a small whimper, and Theo looked at the small sleeping face with a devotion that sickened me. He challenged me, his eyes teary but firm. "I won't. He's my brother. I will protect him." Little did that brat know that, to protect my interests, I was willing to go far beyond simple discard. He had just signed the death knell for a game I intended to play to the bitter end. My smile widened. I loved a good challenge. I shifted my posture, relaxing my shoulders and forcing a sigh of defeat. "Okay, Theo, you win. You're stubborn like your father." He looked at me suspiciously, but the hope in his eyes was pathetic. "But we can't leave him in plain sight. The servants would gossip, your father would find out over the phone, and it would be a disaster. If we're going to do this, we'll do it my way. We have to hide him until your father gets home. It will be our secret." The word secret worked like magic. He nodded eagerly. I led him up the back stairs, up to the attic no one had used in years. The air was heavy, and the floor creaked. The old playroom. Perfect. I placed the basket in a corner, away from the only dusty window. "Stay here with him. I'll get milk and blankets. Don't go out and don't make any noise." He nodded, his fear of the place overcome by the joy of having his brother safe. I closed the heavy wooden door behind me, and standing outside, turned the iron key in the lock. The metallic click echoed in the silence. I heard the doorknob turn frantically and his voice, now terrified, calling out to me. I ignored it. I left him screaming in the dark. The first step was isolation. The second would be to make his little brother disappear forever, and for all the blame to fall on the boy who dared to defy me. I descended the stairs with a small smile. That creature in the attic wasn't a baby. It was dead weight I would get rid of. The clock in the living room read 9 o'clock, and my husband wouldn't be back until the next morning. I had the whole night to solve the problem. I went to the kitchen and prepared a bottle of milk. Not for the baby, of course. For Theo. He would need energy for the discovery he was about to make. Beside the bottle, I prepared a glass of water with a strong sedative, enough to make him sleep for hours, dreamless. I went back up to the attic, the heavy key in my hand. I opened the door and found Theo huddled in a corner, hugging the basket, his eyes red and swollen from crying. The baby, on the other hand, slept soundly. "I brought food, my love. You need to be strong to take care of your brother." The sweet voice hid the venom. He drank the milk, and I watched the sedative begin to take effect. His eyes grew heavy, and he fell asleep right there, beside the basket. This was my chance. I picked up the baby from the basket, his light, fragile body in my arms. A slight revulsion washed over me. Why would anyone abandon a child? It was a mystery I didn't care about. I went downstairs, holding the child like an unwanted package. The back door creaked as I opened it. Outside, the darkness of the forest seemed to swallow me. I knew there was an old, abandoned chapel, miles away, in the middle of nowhere, perfect for a miracle or a disappearance, and no one would ever know who had taken him. The darkness of the forest was my ally. Every step I took away from the mansion was a step toward the safety of my future. The baby in my arms was quiet, a weightless weight. The abandoned chapel wasn't far away. In less than an hour, it would all be over. I would return, find Theo drugged in the attic, and blame him for the disappearance of the intruder he'd brought home. The plan was perfect. Then, suddenly, 2 beams of light cut through the night, coming down the main driveway. The lights blinded me, paralyzing me in the middle of the lawn. My blood ran cold. It was his Mercedes, my husband's car. He'd returned the day before. Panic gripped me as the car stopped and he got out, his face contorted in confusion. "Helena, what the hell are you doing out here? And what child is that?" My mind raced, searching for a lie. "Ricardo, thank God, I found it. Someone left it at our gate. I was going to call security." The lie sounded weak even to me, but before he could respond, a desperate scream came from the house. "Daddy!" The front door flew open, and Theo ran toward us, his face streaked with tears. "Dad! She took my little brother. She locked us in the attic so he'd disappear." My husband looked from me, standing in the darkness with the baby, to our panicked son, and then to the dark attic window. There were no more lies. There was nowhere left to run. In that moment, in the glare of the headlights, I was no longer the trophy wife. I was a monster, and he was finally seeing my true face. The smell of mold and cheap food permeated everything I own. From the window of my one-room apartment, I no longer see a well-tended garden, but a dirty alley. There were no shouts or arguments that night. Only the icy silence of my ex-husband as he watched me pack a suitcase with the essentials, under the watchful eye of 2 security guards. The divorce was swift and brutal. The morality clause in our prenuptial agreement, which I thought was a joke, was my undoing. I was left with nothing. Today, I saw a news story online. My ex-husband made $1 million donation to an orphanage. In the photo, he was smiling, next to Theo, and in his arms, a 1-year-old boy, the little intruder, now officially his son, his heir. They named him Daniel. The photo made me smile, but not with happiness. They took everything from me, but I still had myself. That brat and the bastard he dragged home couldn't defeat me. They just taught me a lesson. Next time, there will be no mistakes. And you? Do you believe that a brother's love can overcome any evil? Share your opinion.